Are you frustrated with online dating? Confused by all the new apps and fancy dating sites? Do you find yourself choosing the wrong person again and again? Well, studies show that hiring a dating coach can maximize your online dating experience. So no worries, I've got you. And I've created a virtual course called Doing Dating Right. It's a 5-video series that you can complete at your own pace in your own space, right at home. How to write your online dating bio, pick that perfect picture, and so much more. Want more info? Go to my website at jenniferhurwitz.com. Again, it's jenniferhurwitz.com. Good morning, good morning. This is Doing Relationships Right. I'm Jennifer Hurwitz, and I'm your host every Tuesday and every other Friday for a Just Jen episode. Okay, I'm excited. I'm excited today, I've got to be honest, because when I have a guest back on my show, that's kind of a big deal. That means I liked him the first time, and so I'm bringing him back a second time and maybe a third time, and who knows. But now, Ellie, I have to tell you, you're busy. You're busy. You have not only your own podcast, which is incredibly, fantastically amazing, the Dude podcast, but you have a baby and you have your own practice and you're like a rock star in your own right. So I don't know if you're going to come back and visit me again, but Eli Weinstein is here today and I'm just thrilled to have you, darling. How are you?
Not come back. Of course I'd come back. It's not about busy. It's about making time for people that matter. That's what matters.
Oh,
so I think you were one of the first episodes and shows that I was on when I first started this whole fun journey. So of course I have to come back and I had you on. It just, we got fun times. We always have a good conversation. And if you think I'm killing it, I don't know who you're talking to.
Oh my gosh,
you're killing it.
No, but I can't believe I haven't been on your show.
Well, we have to make that happen.
I have to go. First of all, I see all the people that are on your show and I'm like, I don't even know if I can. You have fantastic guests. I've listened to like a number of your podcasts because I feel like I need them.
And who says you can't be a fantastic guest?
Well, I mean, I can, but I mean, I feel like, no, today we're going to talk about something that's really close to home for me, but we're going to talk about men and teenagers and male anxiety, right?
I love it.
But your podcast has like legitimately helped me. And I mean, you're a smart guy. You're just a smart guy. Well, first of all, you're a therapist. Okay. Not only a relationship specialist, a therapist, but you've got tips and tools for everyday life.
That's right.
Which I think it's really cool, like actionable value. There you go.
That's how I do it.
That's how you do it.
I'm not a big fan of like I even though I love a good quote and a good, like inspirational picture with the cat saying like, hold on but like, it's not my thing as much. That has helped me. And I feel like in the world that we live today, there's so much stuff going on, memes and this, that, and the other thing that are very cute and funny and very relatable, but not practical and takeaway. So I might give a nice cutesy quote, but I always try to take that and make it practical.
But they're not really cutesy. Because like even yesterday or the day before you quote, I actually posted one of your quotes today.
I saw. Thank
you. Did you see? Because I mean, that's a great one, right? I love it. We could even start there, right? I mean,
that was based on a conversation that I was having with clients.
Okay.
And my own wife.
Oh.
Like in our own relationship about our feelings of trying to like, especially with the newborn and just being at our wit's end and trying to make the other person feel comforted, feel happy, feel good, seen, okay, whatever the emotion or feeling is.
So the quote was, it's not your job to make your partner happy.
Yeah, it's not. It's not your job to make your partner happy.
No.
Your job as a partner is to be supportive, and the fact that you're there makes them happy. Right. Not that you have to make them happy, because if you take that burden on, that becomes a job and it's never ending. And also it changes every day. So for sometimes it's like a simple making someone a coffee could be like just these simple things that we can do. It doesn't have to be, I have to make you happy. And if I don't, I'm failing as a partner.
Why do we feel that way? You know what? I'm going to just throw my my partner of 5 years. We had our 5-year anniversary yesterday. Can you believe
Congrats.
that? I'm going to throw him right under the bus and say, he loves to make me happy. He is like, but when I'm not happy, he doesn't know what to do with himself.
Yeah.
It kills him to see me unhappy. It's like his full-time job is to make me happy. So Jim, if you're listening, it is not your job to make me happy.
Stop it, Jim.
Stop it.
But it's beautiful that he wants to make you happy, but it's also the balance of us knowing that when someone's not happy, it's not our fault,
right?
As well as not our responsibility to help someone, because we're responsible for making ourselves and working on ourselves and getting to a place of happiness. If we can't do that on our own and we're relying on other people, that's not healthy for us individually. Like, it's not a way to do it. Even as a therapist, I don't fix people where I change them. I help them see things in different perspectives and give them tools to help them get there. They're doing the work, not me. It's like when a client asks me like, Ellie, can you give me advice on X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, no. And they're like, why not? And I'm like, because it's not my life. Like, I can't
Right.
tell you to do this or that. It's your life to choose that, not me. Because if it ends up backfiring, that's not your choice. That's my choice. And then
Right.
that's how dangerous thing happens.
Right. Right. Right.
So it really is on us to make ourselves happy and then have that person to support us when we're really happy and be like, yay, go you. And be supportive when we're really not okay.
Right.
And be like, what can I do to help you? And
Okay.
if there's nothing to do,
Yeah.
then you sit there and be with them.
Right. You just sit there and you don't, I feel like you don't always have to have, okay, I have a question. I'm going to ask you a question. A fixer and a people pleaser.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like I'm a people pleaser, but I'm not necessarily always looking to fix something. Right. But some people are fixers, but not necessarily people. Just, I don't know.
Let's talk about it.
Let's do
Basically,
it.
sounds like a joke. A fixer and a people pleaser walk into a bar, and nothing gets done. But it's interesting that if you look at the old school research on relationships, you look at like Dr. Gray
Sure.
on how to, what's it called? Women are from men,
Men are from
men are from
Mars,
Mars,
women
and
are
women
from
from Venus.
whatever.
Women are from men.
Men are from who knows? Yes, Venus and Mars. Yes,
Venus and Mars. And he talks about the idea that, and I think that society has educated women to be people pleasing.
absolutely.
Not that that's okay at all, but that they have to be the ones who help and are good and are calm and are reserved and under the radar and just make everyone happy. And as long as everyone's happy, then everything's good. A lot of moms feel that way,
I do.
right? Because they have
I
to
did.
like
Yeah, I
figure
don't
out
know.
the whole family and making sure everyone's okay and everyone's doing their things and everyone's going to school and everyone's doing their job and everyone's okay and everyone's fed and everyone's close. Like it's just a lot. And men have been educated to be fixers more. What's the problem? Tell me what I need to do.
Yep.
Versus being aware enough to do it themselves, they have to be told a lot of times, which is annoying for a lot of partners.
I
Um,
hear it all the time.
I deal with that all the time with
Me
clients. It's
too.
like,
Me
why
too.
can't my husband just
Oh,
understand? It's like,
right.
great question.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. No, but it's about the person and the personality. But no, I'm a people pleaser by trade.
Me
I
too.
very much am a people pleaser. And that comes from my past. That comes
Right.
from who I am. That comes from where I came from
Me
and
too.
the household I grew up in. I
Same.
grew up in a household that my brother and parents did not have the best relationship. So, to make sure that everyone was happy, I was the one who felt the need to be the good one so that everyone would be happy. Because my brother, who now we have a beautiful relationship and we're all hunky dory and we love each other very much, um, it wasn't so easy. So,
Same.
I took that role on. It's like if you I'm a huge Will Smith fan. I told you that,
Yeah.
messaging you
Yes. Yes.
that in his book, and if you listen to the audible of the book, which I highly suggest because you actually hear him dictate it and it's really funny. He talks about the role he took in his family, where his father was extremely abusive and an alcoholic, and his brother fought, his sister hid, and he turned to comedy. So he was the one who thought if I made everyone laugh and I made everyone not focus on the scary monster, which is our father, um, everyone can just be okay and we can just get through our day. Not just survive, not thrive,
Right.
just survive. And that was his mode of operation was comedy, which is why he is who he is.
It's awesome.
And he felt the need that he had to do that. So people pleasing comes from a place. We're not usually born that way. We
No.
learn it out of survival and out of need. Fixers, it's more of the idea that some people want to help and they just think that that's their only way of operating is like, oh, I'm going to do this for you. Oh, I
Right.
got this. And sometimes, what do we hear so often in relationship work? I just want the person to listen. I don't want them to do anything about it.
I mean, I say that I can't
It's
even
so
tell you how many
hard.
times I say that because I'm the people pleaser, and in my life, you're exactly talking about my life right when you're talking, and then my partner is the fixer. So we have the fixer and the people pleaser, just like the two of us, and
It's hard.
yeah, it's hard.
And I love that you that spoke to you that post because it was just a conversation that I kept hearing from
Yep.
my clients and from my own life that I was like, maybe someone else is thinking about this.
So many
So let me
people are
just
thinking about that.
like
So
it's not
many,
your job to make someone happy.
right?
And that means also that means friendships. It's not just
Yeah,
partners. It means friendships. It
exactly.
means your children. Your job as a parent is to not make sure that your kids are happy all the time. It's that they're safe, healthy, and are well functioning to get along in life. There are
Mm,
going to be days where they just are
I
pissed
know.
at you and angry
Or
and
when they're just
frustrated
not happy,
or
and you
not
know what?
happy.
It kills me, Ellie. It kills me.
It hurts.
it,
Saying when my daughter's sad, it hurts me.
yes, right.
but
But
something
I
I could
feel
do
like
about it sometimes.
no, right? But I feel like there are some parents not that it doesn't bother as much as other parents.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's reasons for
Yeah.
that, and that's sometimes either based on what their experience is with their kid growing up.
Hmm.
Like if their kid was extremely colicky,
Hmm.
and they just had to like ignore because of survival of self, so that they didn't
Sure.
have to go insane of hearing a kid scream all day.
Yeah.
It come from many reasons, but parents naturally should care about their kids being upset or having a negative emotion. But it doesn't mean that we can do anything about it to fix it or help.
Right.
So, like if your son or daughter is going through a really rough time at school, a bully, or really struggling with their education and not doing so great, there's a limit to how much we can help.
Right.
There's just a limit, and we could do our best, but in the end, it's on them to make a decision to feel a sense of accomplishment or happiness or joy in what they're doing. We can't make someone like school just because we want them to.
Right.
We can't then make them like the sports they're getting involved to just because we want them to. We can't make them like our religion or religious beliefs or political beliefs or values just because we do. We would hope that that usually aligns because they're in our home and they're growing up in that way, but it doesn't mean it makes them happy or that they have to enjoy it all day, every day.
Right. Okay, I'm going to segue right. This is a podcaster's dream. I'm going to segue right into this. So, do you think that that doing that actually like not forcing, but like wanting our children and wanting people around us to feel what we are feeling, and do you think that causes anxiety? Do you think
For
that's
who?
stressing
Us
for
or
our
the
kids, for
people?
the kids?
Oh,
Like
yeah, of
when you're putting
course.
that pressure on our kids, like you want them to play the sport that you want them to play, and you want them to get the great. I mean, obviously, it's causing stress, but anxiety as
Yeah,
well,
no, of
right? I
course.
mean, of course.
If we can go with like extreme stereotypes here for a second,
Please.
like if you look at the classic tiger mom
Oh,
or
love the tiger mom.
the helicopter parent, right? We've all had experiences with either our own parents or
Yep.
grandparents or friends of parents, who knows. And even if you look at the classic father, like the
Sure.
old
Let's do
school
it.
classic father, all those things, it's I want you to do this, so you're doing it.
Right.
And that can cause anxiety for the kid because they don't want to do it. So they're doing it at a performance to make the parent happy. So just like our job as partners is not to make others happy, it's not our kids' job to make us happy.
Right.
If we're relying on our children of course, children bring us joy and
Right.
happiness and fulfillment. That's not what I'm saying. But if we are relying on the kids to do and be a certain way so that we can be happy, we need to take a really hard look at our life. Because if my daughter, who's almost 3, the Rickster, is so
The
cute and
Rickster.
yummy.
She's so
I
cute.
know,
I
I
can't
love her.
take
She's
it.
such a sassy lady. She just started speaking like full sentences and thoughts, and it's so funny because she has such a good sense of humor. Where she recently just went to my father and said, "Hey, Baba, give me money." And and my father's like, "What?" Like she just
Did he
says
take out his
ridiculous
wallet?
things.
Did he take out his wallet?
No, she's learning about charity and like
Oh,
giving, and
oh, I see.
that's what
I
she was
see.
asking for.
Sure.
But it just came off like from a 3-year-old to go to her grandfather and say, "Give me money." It's just
Can I
like,
just say that that's amazing that your daughter at 3 years old is learning about charity?
yeah, it's just the
That's
daycare.
awesome.
She's in an amazing
That's
daycare. It's really
amazing.
good.
Amazing.
Um, and that's part of our religious beliefs. As
Yep.
religious Jews, we give a lot of charity. We like to
Sure.
give and do for others. Not that
Sadaka.
others don't, right? Everyone does that, hopefully, and
Yep.
there are a lot of things to get involved in today. Unfortunately, to give, there's a lot of need.
Yes.
But back to the idea: if my daughter, the Rickster, she wants to go to be a dancer. She wants to dance. She loves music. She loves rhythm. And I'm like, no, you're playing volleyball so that you can get a scholarship, right? Classic thing, right? You
It
need to
happens all the
perform
time, though. It
all the
happens
time.
all the time.
What if she's not happy for her whole middle school,
Well, she
elementary
won't
school, high
be.
school, because she's doing it for me, for daddy? Now,
Right.
what if she doesn't like it or she fails? Let's say she sucks at volleyball, right? Does that mean she's making me disappointed? Well, she's going to think that if I don't do well, daddy's going to be upset with me and disappointed.
Of
So
course.
I'm going to put more pressure on myself to do better, even though I might not be good at it or like it, which then creates a sense of anxiety and stress. So that happens with performance at school. Like I grew up in a household that was very much, if you try hard and do the best that you can at school, that's all that matters to
Me
us.
too. Same
That
as you.
helped me feel very calm
Me too.
because I had kids in my school who would they get like a 98 and their parents would say like, "Why didn't you get 2 more points?"
Right.
And they would cry. They would
Cry.
cry.
Cry. I can't. I
Who
can't.
does that
I know.
help? That doesn't help your kid.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
So if we our biggest thing with our children is that there's a great specialist, Dr. Tina Bryson. Um, and she talks about the 4 S's of parenting:
Yes, I saw it on your.
safe, secure,
Yes, I saw it.
soothed, and seen,
Seen.
right?
Say it again. Safe, secure, soothe,
Soothed
and
and
seen.
seen. So
Okay.
seen means I see my child for who they are, not that they're not physically, but I see them and understand them.
Okay.
I see them in their ups and their downs, and I see their needs and wants, and I'm going to meet them there. Secure means that they feel that you create an environment they feel comfortable and safe for to be with you and to talk to you and to be themselves. Safety is physical safety,
Sure.
right? Just general, food, drink,
Roof
shelter, all
roof
that kind of
over their
stuff.
head. Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And soothe means that they learn the ability to calm themselves down,
That's a huge one.
right? Emotional regulation.
That's a huge one because huge.
It's
I
huge for
think.
being an
Yeah.
adult, right? It's like
Yeah.
imagine you could not learn to fall asleep on your own without
Oh,
someone holding you, patting you on the back, and cuddling with you and being in the room with you. I know I can't sleep well enough now because of my son screaming as a newborn, but when I'm tired, I go to sleep
yeah.
and I learn tricks to help me sleep or to help me calm down when I'm upset and angry or
Hmm.
sad or even extremely happy. I
Yeah.
learn to regulate. That takes a lot of skill. So other than that, everything else is cherry on top as a parent.
Oh, I'm just listening to you and I'm thinking about my boys, right? And I know we've spoken about this a lot in the last podcast too. I have a freshman in college and I have a senior in high school, and I'm going to be alone next year, right? So
Yeah.
like my anxiety is to the roof, and their anxiety is all the time. And I just, as boys, I feel like mental health in men and boys, and it's just very rare. I think that well, we'll talk about this. This is the stigma. The stigma is just crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's
It's
really
really
tough,
bad. I when I worked at a group practice for years to
right?
get my licensure and get all the hours and the late nights and the grunt work to get to where I am. And I didn't really work with a lot of men statistically. Just out of just the statistics of the clinic I was working at. Well, now I have a private practice and I have more men in my practice than I do
Love
women.
that. I love
And
it.
that's not because I'm doing anything different. Just people, especially during COVID, are looking for help.
Yep.
But here's a story I always get. My wife, my girlfriend, my partner, my mother
My mother, right? My
said,
mom,
I need to come to talk to somebody. I don't know what this means. I've never done it before. Hi, here's my name.
right?
Right? And that's how it starts majority of the time.
Which is so interesting to me because both of my boys came to me. Both of my boys said, "Mom, I want to talk to someone,"
But you know who
at a
that you know what
very
that
early
speaks to?
age.
You know what that speaks to? That speaks to you creating an environment for them to feel comfortable
Oh, I love
that
that.
they
Oh,
took
good.
themselves that they took themselves their importance of what they meant to get help.
Yeah,
That's an environment we create for our home. That if a kid, especially growing up, men were taught to not share, to
right.
not talk, to not be vulnerable. It's weakness. It's less than. You'll be called gay. You'll be called any negative connotation that was called negative back in the day for men. That was what was thrown at men for having emotions. I was called gay all the time because I'm a very emotional and feeling human
Yeah.
being.
So is my Zach.
So does that mean why is that a bad thing? Being gay is not a bad thing.
It's so
So,
crazy,
but as a
right?
kid growing up in the '90s, that was considered like, well, I'm not, you can't say that. How,
Right.
oh, like so hurt by that thought process. But it's like calling a woman the P word.
Mm,
I don't know if you want to say it out loud. So, right?
right.
Like, is that really a bad thing? Like, it's one of the strongest parts of human bodies.
Right.
Like, it's like a bad thing to be called that. It's weakness somehow. And men, if you read, and there's two amazing books I would highly suggest for a lot of men. Three books. There's Justin Baldoni's book Man Enough,
I love
which
him.
is just I love him. If you're
Love
listening, Justin, I want to be your best friend. Seriously, we'll work out together. I'll grow long hair. I promise. I'll,
You
I'll,
could be
I'll
best friends with him.
I would love to be best friends with him.
I think
Do you
he's
know what he
amazing.
did in his book? He has a support system of 3 or 4 guys that he goes on a retreat with every year of his like best friends that they just talk and cry and feel and be with each other
Why don't more men? I don't
because
understand,
it's weakness. It's
but it's
uncomfortable.
it's so not.
It
It's
doesn't make
it's.
sense. It's not
I don't.
weakness,
I
but it is.
can't.
So in his book, he talks about his experience of being a very good-looking, strong, strapping young lad as a teenager in the physical world of sports and also being very feeling
Mm,
and emotional and the worry he had of this thing called he called it the social not the social construct I can't think of the word, like
that's okay.
the social
Okay. Oh
currency
yes, 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 yes.
of high school. Like if I out myself as being emotional, I'm going to lose currency of being cool, which means I won't be invited to parties, which means I won't have a girlfriend, which means like it's like this whole anxiety. Then there's a great book by this guy named Andrew Reiner, Better Boys, Better Men.
Yeah,
It's more
yeah.
of a research-based book that's
Okay.
really interesting. And then you have Lewis Howes, who wrote a book called The Mask of Masculinity,
I
which
like him
is
too.
really interesting, about just the idea of what it means, that how men put on a show, the masks that men wear to be considered quote unquote masculine, whether it's sex, whether it's cars, money, physical attributes, um, all these different things. It's really sad because only now in the world today are people trying to come to understanding that masculinity doesn't have to be toxic and that masculinity doesn't have to be bad. Just like people are coming to the idea that women are not weak
Right.
and are not going to be weak and are some of the strongest people we know. It's
Right.
flip-flopping. And it's really important that we understand that, embrace that flip-flop, because it means that we're not constricting ourselves to a guideline of what a role or gender means about someone's attributes and characteristic traits and values.
Anyone who's been through a divorce knows co-parenting is not all rainbows and sunshine, especially when alcohol abuse is involved. Pair these challenges with a pandemic and you have a perfect storm. Soberlink's alcohol monitoring system is the most convenient, reliable, and reasonable way for a parent to provide evidence that they are not drinking during parenting time. Soberlink's real-time alerts make it easy to negotiate with any party. Judges rest assured that the child is safe. Attorneys get court-admissible evidence of sobriety. And both parents have empowerment and peace of mind. Do divorce right and trust the experts in remote alcohol monitoring technology to keep your kids safe, happy, and well-adjusted. To download the guide, 5 non-negotiables for embracing a new normal that I developed with Soberlink, visit www.soberlink.com/DRR. The whole thing is so
Backwards.
unbelievably, the whole thing is crazy to me. So I'm going to ask you another question too. And do you think a lot of this has to do with social media with these kids?
What, the
The
anxieties or
anxiety,
well,
I mean, all of
if
it.
there was I don't know from my perspective, just like the research that I've done,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a great, I love documentaries. I love to read. I love just knowledge. And the
Mm-hmm.
documentary, on, it was on Netflix,
I saw it.
The Social Dilemma,
Oh my God, can you
right?
believe?
If you look at the statistics of the suicide rates that went up in the past 10 years, and even suicidal thoughts and admittance of suicide into ERs, and just people admitting themselves because they're afraid of that, has gone up. Now, I'm not a math person. I never
No,
have
me
been.
neither. Me
Like
neither.
180%, something like crazy, which I didn't know was possible because I thought as a kid, it's like 100% you're done.
I
No,
thought
it's
so
like
too.
210% higher, between 180 and 210%, depending on women. Girls, ages like 11 to 13 have gone up.
That's so
That's young.
sad.
And even men and boys. So social media plays a role in this really scary thing called comparison,
Right.
where back in the day, I can only compare myself to the people in my school, in my community, in my synagogue, in whatever
The
was
people you
in
saw in real
my
life.
sight.
Right.
Now we have full access on our cell phones through TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, to literally compare ourselves to the entire world. That's millions of people across different socioeconomic status, different places, different backdrops, different fake accounts, and the amount of work that goes into creating and curating the perfect picture of a perfect account, which is lies,
Lies.
because it's literally just like, look at me, I'm cool,
But
and
you
you're
can't
at a
tell a kid that because they don't
no,
understand. I
it's
mean,
not. I don't know
right.
about you. Did you know about this thing called Finsta?
Okay. Yes. It scares me
It's
to death.
scary.
When my kids are teenagers, obviously,
Yeah.
but I've got to tell you something. I'm going to be really transparent with my audience and with you. I have a hard time on social media comparing myself to other
Same.
accounts, to other people.
Same.
I wake up in the morning and something triggers me that I
Same.
see, and it just, I'm telling you, I have like my mood will drop. It'll change based on whether X, Y, or Z, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know as an adult, as a 50-year-old female. I mean, I can barely handle it.
Yeah.
I don't know how these young kids are doing it. I
Yeah, do
don't
I.
know. It is sickening to me. And this is the problem with it. It's sickening to me, yet I still allowed my kids to have it.
It's unfortunately like the world that we live in today. It's like,
Right.
one of my friends recently said to me, and I'm not going to get on a whole rant about
No, no, please.
anti technology, but we need it. Like, I need this technology to run a
Right.
practice, right? I need
Exactly. Me too.
technology to run my world.
Right.
The sad part is that I need it so much and rely on it. Like, what would happen if everything, like, remember that day a couple of months ago where Instagram went down? and
Yes.
Facebook went down and the world
Yes.
exploded. Everyone's like, what do I do with my time? So thank God I have, hobbies and things in
Yeah.
place that I don't need it, but it is like a part of my life in a daily basis. And I hate those reports from like iPhone, like you've used your social media
Well, I
like
won't
too
look at
much.
it.
And I'm like, oh gosh. But the idea is that we need it so much. There's this new thing like the Oculus that came out, right?
Mhm.
For Facebook. My friend's like, "Oh, you should try it." And I said, "No way." He
No.
says, "Why not?" I said, "Because what they're doing is they're creating an environment where you are going to live in a fake world to escape the world you're in.
I
It's like
can't.
a virtual reality
You
world."
know, I've had
So that's
enough.
what we do on Instagram. We live in a fake world where we're looking at things. People show highlights of their life. Every single celebrity shows all the events they're going to, all the cool outfits, all the money they're having, all the things, all the parties, all the cool people they're with. And you sit there and go, I must suck because I'm not doing that. Even myself, I have a full practice. I have a beautiful family. I have a podcast that brings me so much joy. Yes, it's not the top 200, and I wish it would be, but that's just more because that makes me feel better about myself. Not that it's a bad thing. I'm not doing
Right.
anything bad with it.
Right.
And there are people out there who have been doing less, quote unquote, than me, that I see. I don't
Right.
see them. I don't know what they're doing,
Exactly.
and they have more followers, more quote unquote success and fame, whatever that means too, and it eats me. And
Me
I'm
too.
like, what am I not doing right?
Right.
And I'm a mental health professional, of course, who I have anxiety and ADHD,
Me too.
right? And I feel so bad for
I
kids
know.
growing up in that world. And like I grew up not having cell phones.
Wasn't it nice?
Oh, it was wonderful.
Now that you think about it, I'm
I don't know
like,
what I did with my time.
I played outside.
Yeah,
And
that's a
my
weird
mom
thing.
would say, "Come home when the street lamp comes on." And we'd
You
all
were a
play
latchkey
outside.
kid. You were a
Yeah,
latchkey kid. There you go.
that was it. I mean,
And
I just
it's really the rates that I've seen in mental health of anxiety and depression is becoming younger and more rampant and aggressive than it ever has been in the world because we feel less fulfilled, we have more than we ever need in this world, which is never enough, and we have more access to news, which brings fear, which brings overwhelmed anxieties. We have access to people and places and things that we never did before, which is great, but also overwhelming. And the sad part is, and I will be honest as a mental health professional, we are really booked solid. And there's not enough people out there as professionals, and there are not enough spots open that are affordable. I'll be honest, I'll be very transparent. I'm looking for therapy for myself right now.
oh my god, that's so funny. I was just gonna say I could not get in. I
I have
cannot.
not found someone who
It
is
is
in my
so.
price range who takes my insurance that I
No
could
one takes my
afford.
insurance. No one. I have to say, I could not. Ellie, I'm going to tell you, I've been looking for someone because I'm having a really hard time with my kids going to school. I cannot see someone until April 17th. I
Wow.
started looking for someone a month ago, and
Yeah.
I cannot get until April 17th.
Yeah. So it's hard, and it's real. And for me as a person, I need like this idea of working through the transition of having two kids
Yes.
versus one,
Yes.
and just
Yes.
stress reduction of talking to someone. I'm not crazy, and I hate that
No.
word, but I'm just need
No.
someone to talk to, and
I
that's
love
fine.
going to therapy. It makes
I
me feel
love it.
better. I
So do
love it.
I. And so I've reached out to multiple people that I have found that I thought would be great for me, great fit as a professional. I looked through their their
Sure.
profile. I
Sure.
was like,
Sure. Sure. Me
oh,
too.
I know what tricks you're playing, and they all are charging out of network, but they're claiming that they take my insurance. So I call them because they say on their profile, we take your insurance, and they're not. And then I'm not paying out of pocket that
Mm-mm.
much money, which I understand why they're asking. I get it. I would ask the same at their level and their years of their career. I get it. I'm not bashing that. Get paid for what you do. At this moment, saving for a house and having two kids, I can't afford that. I need
No, me
someone to
either.
take my insurance, and no one's answering.
No.
And that's why, by the way, as a therapist, my biggest rule of thumb is I will always be taking insurances whatever I can, of course, mix and match, and I always answer every single person who reaches out, even if the answer is no, because then they hear from somebody.
Yeah.
Because it's not just like dead silence.
Yeah. I reached out to someone here in Charlotte. Didn't even get back to me. I didn't even hear
It's
back.
so we're all booked solid because during COVID, what happened is that everyone's undertone and underlying worries of anxiety came out because we didn't have distractions. We couldn't hide from it.
Right.
We were just trapped at home, trapped hearing the news, trapped being stressed, trapped all this way that now everyone's like, "Oh gosh, I have to work through some things."
Yeah.
And that's why we're here and that's why I love what I do. But it's
Yeah.
it's really rough. I think right now, I think the statistics show 1 in 5 people have a mental health diagnosis or disorder.
Okay, I'm going to ask you one more thing. So
You can ask me 18 more
I'm
things.
going to
You're
ask
good.
you 25. So
Deal.
do you think that people are like overdiagnosed? They're
Great
not.
question.
These because
So I'm a big fan of diagnosis as well as against it.
okay.
So if I would ever teach a class at college, which I hope to one day, I'll
Yay.
be like a professor, like an adjunct professor. I
Can you
would
go to
love to teach.
Syracuse and teach my son?
Well, as I just told you before, I'm leaving New York, so
Oh, that's
it'll
right.
be
That's right. I forgot.
it'll be UNLV or something like
Yes,
that.
yes,
Hey,
yes, yes.
shout out to Las Vegas. Um, the idea is that I would love to teach diagnostics and treatment, like clinical. One of the reasons is because diagnostics means nothing.
Nothing.
In the end, I have a new DSM diagnostic manual just is coming out recently. It's coming. They've readjusted and added a few things um, that helps for billing and medical professionals. So for billing and insurance, and to prove, quote unquote, why someone deserves to be in therapy and why insurance covers will cover it and pay for it, we need codes to prove why someone's there. It's called medical necessity. When someone asks me for the diagnosis, I ask them, "Does that matter?" And they go, "Well, it matters to me to know what I have." And I said, "Okay, I can slap a label on you if you want, but if someone comes to me with anxiety, what if they bring something depressing or
Mm.
sad or different diagnosis? Do I not treat them? No, of course." So my thing on diagnosis is, okay, it might give me a backdrop of why someone comes to therapy, but the entirety of the person was and their actual struggles and issues is what I'm treating,
You treat the
not the
symptoms.
name,
Right.
not the name
Right.
that goes along with it.
Right.
Because names have a lot of labels. For example, if someone has diagnosed with OCD, there's so many assumptions about OCD. Bipolar, schizophrenia, borderline personality disorder, all these different things, narcissistic personality disorder, all these things that have bad, oh my gosh, you have that? If we look at someone based on that, of course we're not going to treat them with a full heart and objection and
Right.
being objective. So to me, diagnosis helps give me a backdrop maybe or an understanding of where they're coming from, but it doesn't explain the struggles they have because
Mm-mm.
I have anxiety and you have anxiety and we're not
Mm-hmm.
the same anxieties.
Right.
So
Totally. That's
if you
true.
put us all under one anxiety, that's not, and we just put everyone in a box of treatment, that's not going to help them.
I feel the same way with spectrum disorder. So my son is on the spectrum, but he's actually we say he fell off.
But the
We-
spectrum is so big
so big,
because
right?
if
So
you
you yes,
score
exactly.
a
Yep.
minute
Yep.
difference from quote unquote the neurotypical person,
Yes. Yes.
you are now considered on the
Oh, I
spectrum.
can't even. Don't even
So
get me started.
it
Right.
doesn't mean that you are far down the spectrum where you
No.
are not functioning.
Right.
You could be point zero zero decimal off
Yes.
of the. It's like, for example, I went to my doctor and my PCP and blood work and all these things, like, oh my gosh, you're pre-diabetic, and my wife's a dietitian. So I said, what the heck is that? Like, what's going on? She's like, oh, you scored 1 point above the not worried
Right. Right.
box that
Yep.
is nothing. You got 1 point in. So 1 point in, now I'm pre-diabetic, which would scare the crap out of me.
I mean, right. Of
So
course.
like, so this is just a problem with these titles and labels.
Oh my
We
gosh.
need them, but it's also not helpful.
I mean, also on college campuses, you can't get in. The kids can't get in. And the rates of I hate to even talk about suicide, but I mean college campuses and the kids are trying to get like mental health,
Treatment.
help, help
Yeah.
and treatment and they can't get in anywhere.
Yeah.
It's awful. It's really, because when someone says they need help and they need to talk to someone and they can't.
But that's the beauty of hotlines and the
Yes,
beauty
yes, yes,
of finding people who are healthy on social media,
yes,
Instagram accounts that you find helpful and nice, that make you feel love and compassion, is really
yes,
important for
yes.
everyone to find that. And the biggest thing is to ask. Ask
I
for
agree.
help. Don't stop asking and don't stop finding or searching just because you got a no or didn't get an answer. Because when you do find that right person, it could be great.
I agree. I agree. Oh my gosh, Ellie, I can't keep you for very much longer because you've been so amazing. But can you give us anything else that, like, maybe something positive, like some that you could do before, like anxiety wise? I don't know, something, a little tidbit, a thought nugget. I don't know. Give me something,
Give me something.
whatever you want to say.
The biggest thing I would say is that we have to be more compassionate with ourselves.
Oh, I
That
love that.
we are very anxious, and that's okay.
I am.
We can be anxious, and that's fine. But be compassionate with yourself, because your thoughts and feelings are not you. It doesn't mean that they don't impact you, but take a step back and learn to be more compassionate. The research shows that mindfulness and compassion, self-compassion, are the biggest keys to being successful when it comes to our anxieties. Because when we come in the moment versus the worry of the future,
Yes.
when we become more centered in right now versus what could happen, and become more compassionate and less judgmental. Like, what the hell's wrong with you? How could I have this thought? Like, calm down. You're the worst mother. You're the worst father. You're the worst husband, worst wife. Take a step back. And if anyone wants to hear about some cool books that are out there that I think are suggestions, I love reading. I love connecting and networking with people who are great authors and great researchers. I would highly suggest Dr. Judd Brewer, who's an awesome, awesome person.
I'm writing this down.
And look into ACT therapy. ACT. ACT is about acceptance and commitment therapy. It's about becoming accepting of self
Oh, I
in a
love that.
non-judgmental, loving way. It's a newer treatment style that is awesome. That is like hitting it off with a lot of people.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Who made this up?
Well, Dr. Stephen Hayes.
Dr.
A Liberated
Stephen...
Mind, I think, is the book. I'm about to read that one, but Dr. Stephen Hayes is the one, the creator of it.
So you know this. I mean, you've talked to my son. So my son is going to school next year at Syracuse for exactly what you do, and he's very excited. And he's been listening to your podcast and checking you out. And so I just want to say I think you're doing good stuff because I think that more men need to be involved in all this stuff.
Which is why I started doing what I do.
Yes, you're a role model for a high school kid. You're a role model for I just think that boys and men and the stigmas just needs to stop. All of it needs to stop, and we need to get out there. And we need to stop telling our boys and our younger kids that they can't cry and they can't feel and that it's not cool to be. I mean, big hearts are cool. Big hearts.
Yeah, it is.
Big hearts,
I love that.
Yeah.
So. I love that tagline. Big hearts are cool. Ooh, I'm going to make a t-shirt.
Big hearts are cool. Big hearts, my guys, they just feel so big and they love so big. I don't know where they get that from. Maybe me. But that's that. So I'll tell you, I just love you. I love you. And I love that you're here. Okay. So the Dude podcast you can find, first of all this is going to be in the show notes, but the Dude podcast is your podcast. And I love it. I love it. It's not just a bunch of bullshit.
Thank you. And it is the
great.
only reason it's called, it's a dude therapist, but the only reason why it's called
the Dude therapist.
It's fine. Don't worry. The only reason why it's called the Dude therapist is because I'm a dude who's a therapist. It's not for dudes only. It's just that I'm a dude who's a therapist.
Wait, it's the Dude therapist podcast. Yeah. Have I been saying the Dude podcast this whole time?
You only did it once. It's okay.
What is wrong with me?
You're fine.
Look, I'm beating myself up. I can't do this.
Okay.
The Dude therapist podcast. It's going to be in the show notes. And where else can we find you? What's the easiest place to find you?
Eli Weinstein, lcsw.com.
Yep.
And my Instagram, Eli Weinstein _LCSW.
Which is fancy schmancy now.
And you can just reach out, talk to me. If I can help you, great. And if I can't, I can try to help you find you someone who can, hopefully.
Perfect.
And if you want to work with me, I'm based in New York, and in the summer, hopefully going to be based in Las Vegas.
Okay,
so
I have a question.
2 locations coming out.
One more question before you go. If you are based in New York, can you see people on Zoom, or does you have to only be in New York?
Oh, great. It depends. It's a longer conversation of legality of where they are based.
Oh.
It's where the client is.
Okay,
and where my licensure is.
Okay, gotcha. So if
I have a coaching side of my business as well, which is more surface level work and not so intense like therapy.
Okay.
So if you want to just talk to me and we can see if we figure something out and make it all kosher and all good. Okay. And if not, I can help you find someone in your area. So
if my son was in New York, he could see you, but if my son in Charlotte wanted to see you, he couldn't.
Yeah.
Oh.
But don't even get me started. It's a ridiculous system.
Okay, because I'm gonna have my older son see you because I think you're amazing. I think you're just amazing. I think that you're the perfect person for young, college kids there are so many kids I'm thinking in my head right now have to see you.
College kids is my favorite.
I mean, honest to God, college, listen to me, mothers, I'm getting right real close. Everybody who's my friend. Okay. All my friends that are listening right now that have a college student in New York right now need to reach out to Eli Weinstein. I'm telling you, you're about to get your explode. I mean, you're already exploding. Do you have room? Can you take clients anymore?
A few.
Oh, crap. Hurry up, people. Get to the phones. And I can leave a space for Jonah. I love you, darling. I love you. I think you're amazing. Everybody else, be mindful and be good to yourself and be calm and what else? Do you meditate?
Not really. I pray every day, so I guess prayer is kind of my meditation.
That is your meditation. I need to meditate more. I need to do something like that and calm my shit down. But anyway, okay. Everyone else be good. Peace, love, and so much truth. I love you guys. Thanks for listening. Eli, thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Bye, guys. Have a great day.